Hey y'all, it's Miranda. Welcome back. Happy April. Your girl's been living life and, just kind of not on social media, which is great, but I definitely don't want to lose my streak of doing a whole year of every month having top 5 artists. So I'm here. We're gonna do this. I've got everything written down. I didn't forget, I promise. So the first artist I want to talk about is Milton Avery, who I just rediscovered recently. I've always seen his artwork around in museums and in my textbooks going through college, learning about art history, American art history in particular, modern art even more particularly. But not only just Milton Avery himself, but his wife Sally Michelle, who inspired him and he inspired as well in a lot of different ways, who was inspired by both March Avery. And in a unified manner as a family, they kind of started that Avery style of artwork. I love actually seeing an artwork and realizing exactly who the artist is who made it without even actually knowing yet. When you first view an artwork and you just know what artist that is, it's really impactful because that means that artist has really accomplished their specific style, their personality, and what their artwork is, and how they make it and how they create it is very personal to them. The Averys are a big hallmark in that aspect for me. They really are that family and individual artists who, whenever I see their work, I know that it's them and I know that that's their artwork. Focusing on Milton Avery himself, his artworks, I'm kind of even just looking at them as I'm talking about them here. For me, when I look at his work, it really seems to focus on the minimalistic idea of artwork, the monochromatic ideas of art, the simplicity of art and life around us. Not everything has a vibrancy or complexity. Things can be really simplistic and monochromatic. So overall, this artist has really opened my mind up to the idea of everyday life and the monochromatic beauty of art. I find it very calming and refreshing to see his artwork now. It's a nice change of pace and a good palette cleanser, I would say. I would take that as a compliment. I'm not sure if that artist would take that as a compliment or other critics would agree with that sentiment, but I find it very cleansing, his work. That's the best way I can describe it. So definitely can appreciate, definitely. And speaking of Impressionism, French Impressionism in particular, Oscar Claude Monet is another artist who throughout the years I've learned to appreciate his work more and more each time I see it, and as I grow as an artist. He inspires me in a very classic way. I will always look to him as an inspiration in that regard. And in modernism, honestly more towards the classic idea of artwork and realism, but his modernism and his impressionism is of course just as inspiring in a lot of ways. And it's funny because growing up in Minnesota and even Idaho, I just recently realized that I had one of his paintings in my room throughout my childhood. And I remember I would stare at that painting and just kind of glare at it and wonder what the whole point of the strokes were and why the colors were chosen and what it was all about. And it was like a very specific feeling, and it's hard to explain other than how I just explained it, where I would just glare and stare at this painting. Now being a more experienced artist and a grown woman, when I saw that painting in real life at the museum here in Dallas, I was awestruck and I was so taken aback that I finally discovered that that was a Monet, that I had actually had a Monet that I would look at throughout my childhood and many different emotions through my life and moments in my life at the time that seemed so minuscule compared to now, that it's so nice that I felt like in some way I was guided to be the artist I am today and to be inspired by an artist like him. So yeah, that was just a little tidbit that connected me from my past to now, that I really do hold this artist in a very close place to my heart. I would say my all-time favorite Impressionist artist of all time would have to be, most definitely, Georges Seurat. He brings a very visceral and emotional feeling to me for a lot of different reasons. Number one, his passion shows through his artwork to me. I can feel through pointillism, divisionism, that he really wanted to accomplish He really had a passion to divide and take colors and shapes apart in a pointillism manner, and then have the human eye reconnect that and reform color and shapes and shades and light and dark. And I just find that so invigorating. I find it very passionate and enticing. The way he used his sketchbook, his crayons on these rough surfaces, it's all so inspiring and really puts a kick in what I want to do with my own artwork, how passionate I want to be with my artwork. What really sparks all of this is growing up and having my Latinx cousin Marcel. She would show me this play from 1986 called Sunday in the Park with George, and it is my all-time favorite play ever. Every time I watch it, I cry, I bawl, I get inspired, I just want to paint, I just want to create, I want to inspire myself, I want to inspire people around me with my art. It just holds everything that you would want and wish would come out of a tribute to an artist. To me, it really gave me exactly the outlook I needed to really appreciate this artist. His passion, his drive, his want and need to have people understand, and viewers of his work, critics, to understand what he was trying to accomplish, what he wanted the world to see that he saw, and what he wanted to create so that we could understand it and appreciate it. That very personal emotion that I would say every artist has, and even when they try to deny it, I know that deep down they still have it too, that we just want to be understood. We just want to have somebody understand what it is that we see, what it is that we want or wish for or feel, or whatever it may be, or just the idea of us creating it all. We want people to see that and understand that and feel that like we feel it. It's so important, and that play delves into that whole emotional aspect that he held, that we can only imagine he really held, because of course only he really knows. But it just feels so strong to me. And yeah, I love every one of his artworks, and I love this idea of pointillism, his expressionism, his divisionism, his spot painting, his roughness, his sketchbooks, everything. Just the world through Seurat's eyes is a world that I want to be in. I want to engulf myself in a world that George Seurat sees, and I want to be a part of it, and I want to make my own world as well. So I have a lot to thank to George Seurat, for sure. The next artist I want to talk about since childhood has always been in my life and inspires a lot, almost, I would say almost all entirely my outlook and love and passion for abstract artwork. And the artist that embodies that tenfold for me has to be Paul Jackson Pollock. He is the king to me. He is the king of abstract work, splatter work, technique, drip technique. I had spent a lot of my adolescence with my art mentor embodying how to do the drip technique, how to do the Pollock technique, really. And that was so inspiring. I mean, just him doing his work on the floor so we could get every angle of it, and also doing that with my mentor, and really just firsthand getting an idea of what it's like to do that kind of abstract artwork. It was freeing and liberating, and it helped me realize just how special it is to understand how to make abstract artwork and how much it teaches you about who you are as your own artist. And really getting more in touch with how Jackson Pollock created his techniques and how he really embodied his artwork and powered over it. And that is really what you can take away when you're doing abstract artwork, I think, is feeling the power and the freedom of creating and finding your techniques through your strokes, through your color mixing, through your color palette, through your outlook on composition. There's so much that can come from just making abstract artwork that empowers you as an artist for any technique or any style or any genre that you want to accomplish. Creating abstract really frees you as an artist, and someone like Jackson Pollock frees me and reminds me that I need to just remember the technique. Remember what it is I want to accomplish outside of my objectified artwork. What is my technique? What is my color scheme? What is my composition? And this artist is definitely an embodiment of all of that. Definitely. I was lucky enough, of course, also to see his artwork in New York City with my mother years ago. I feel like I always say this, but again, I was awestruck. I was so engulfed in his artwork. It was huge. It was this ginormous canvas painting. It was like a miracle to be there and to experience that. I was so lucky, and I feel so grateful that I got to see that artwork in person. It was literally 10 times bigger than me, and I loved it. I was like a little fangirl when I saw it, and I feel like you can tell on the picture that I was so like nervous and almost like I was standing next to a celebrity. It just is so silly, but that's really just how passionate I feel about this painter and his artwork. She's the queen and mother of modern American art. Hands down, has to be Georgia Thato O'Keeffe. And she has always and will always be an artist who strikes me every time I see her work. It never fails to completely engulf me in the work that she has created, the vibrancy, the textures, the smoothness, the technique, the saturation, the light in her work. It's just gorgeous. And being someone who adores and engulfs herself in flowers every day, I of course have a very special place in my heart for her flower artworks. Her passion and love for texture and color and landscapes and desert scenes and objects is just always ever inspiring, always. And her passion and love for her husband, the connection that they had, is of course inspiring for me personally as well. Him always photographing her photographs, the photography that she's been a part of, that is also something that I view and personally idolize and take inspiration from constantly. I feel like she's a mother in art for me just in general, personally. So she keeps me inspired, she keeps me motivated in a lot of ways. And I can only dream to have one painting as awe-striking as all of her paintings are. So definitely holds very true to my heart, and if not number one, the most inspirational woman artist to me. So yeah, thank you, Georgia O'Keeffe, for everything. So overall, I am so happy to be able to share my next top 5 artists of April before the month ends. Thank goodness. Every one of these artists, in the same respect, in different aspects, in their own respects, has taken a toll in my life for the best, for the better, really, I should say. And I adore each one, and I look forward to continuously being inspired by all of them and many other artists alike. These are artists that are hallmarks. These are artists that are icons. These are artists that are staples in art and their own respectful styles and techniques. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and go appreciate some art. That's what's important. Go appreciate art all around you, and show your appreciation for the world around you and art around you by making your own art. I know that's what I do. See you next month, hopefully soon. Okay, bye. I just want to get through this. I'm so tired. I have to go to work in the morning. Ouch. Okay. What? Okay, bye.